It was asked maybe that we should have also, we should try to do this with the Bein of Word, shout to the upcoming parsha. This week we'll have something to say, another thing to say at the table. So we're going to try to, but this week we'll try to Mishalev, Yisro Mishpatim, and then Mitzvah Hashem will continue. The parsha in Mishpatim, Torah tells us a fascinating Yisroel. The Gemara tells us, Ki yignov ish shor oiseh. If a man steals a shor oiseh, an ox or a sheep, utfachoy or mechoroi, and he shachs it or he sells it, chamisho v'kor yishalem ta'az hashor. You have to pay 5 times for a shor, and 4 for a seh. Parsha Mishpatim, as you're going to learn, is a fascinating parsha. Rabbi says you're going to see the halachas in Parsha Mishpatim seem to be basic moral codes. As you see, as you learn the parsha, how deep and how so much is taken in consideration. That's a different Shmuez parsha. But we'll just bring it out of this halacha, Rabbi said. The Torah tells us that if you steal, you have to pay 5 times for a shor, 4 times for a seh. Very interesting. Like we try to figure out why dafka shor 4 and 5 times. Very, very, very interesting halacha that the person has to pay extra for a shor. Has to pay the baal extra for a shor, and a seh has to pay less. What's the pshat? So Rashi brings, so Rashi, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. You just learn Chumash and Rashi, but you become such a tahor ben emet, a different person. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Chos hamokom al kvodim shabriyas. The Torah has rachmanis on kvodim shabriyas. Shor shochoylech b'raglov. Who are we talking about? Rabbi says it's one of the most paladin gezachah, but it's such an oimek halacha. We're talking about a ganef. The ganef, Yankele the ganef. He goes around, he steals, he's a robber. You would think this guy, who cares about him? Why would you be reckoned with what's going on in his life? So we care. So I would say, okay, we care what's going on in his life, in his married life. He has sometimes a problem. His wife wakes up one morning, her jewelry's gone, and he steals her jewelry to go pawn it and say, okay, shalom bayit. Come to the Shalom Bam, come to the rabbi for your Shalom Bayit to a session. Very nice. You care about what's going on in his regular day life, outside of his Genevedic life. He has maybe issues, we'll deal with those issues. He has his problems, he's a kind on his father, on his mother, on his Rabbi. His Rabbi once took away his nice pen. That's why he steals today, because he was robbed. So in Mela, he feels he was robbed from his Yiddishkeit, so he became a robber. Okay, we'll deal with that. The Seder, you have to have but when it comes to the actual Geneva, Rabbi side, when he's actually doing the actual Geneva, there we have to realize it's a terrible act. And we have to, when we focus on the act itself, there's no Rahmanis. The guy is a Ganef. Says the Torah, Chos HaKadosh Baruch Hu, on why you pay 4 and 5. Chos HaMochel HaKvodim Shabriyos. Shor Shochel B'Raglov. V'Lenis Bazer B'Ya Ganef. The Ganef took the shor, he was walking in the shuk with it. It was so embarrassing for him. But the set, Shenoisak Sefer, If he wants to get the set to move quickly, he carries it on. He carries the shore on his back also. But he's not a refrigerator mover, so it's a little heavy for him. But the set he carries on his shoulders. The Shalom Abba Hoil when it's possible. This is so oimek, unbelievable, Rabbi. We take off from the payment that he should have really paid. He should have really paid 5 times. But since there was a shaila of his covet went down in this spaza in this maisa, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu reckons with that bizui in the Geneva, Rabbi Yisrael. Oimek Tarasoi in the Geneva. Hashem says, "For he's a mensch." Okay, I can understand outside the Geneva therapy, character development, whatever we want to call it. In the Geneva itself, get him! No. In the Geneva itself, there was a bizui of his covet. Whose covet? The Ganav. But there was a bizui of his covet. He had to mavaz himself. So we take away from the Tashlim. Oimek. Minimson. The Divrei Torah. But the Kodesh Baruch is teaching us that in the Ganav, in the Geneva, the fact that he had a pechis and covet, Rabbi Yisrael, there was a bizui of his covet, Rabbi Yisrael. Before it, he's a mensch. So we take away from the tash. Because when a person has to be good, is a person ashamed of himself? That's already an oynish. There's some oynish. Just took away from his covet of himself. We have to lessen his pain, lessen his punishment. He already got some type of punishment. He had to shame. He's doing it neighbor. But so much is the covet of a person of us. How much Rosh is doing for the covet of a person of us. Even for the God of us, even the person that's the furthest away, there's an in of cover of us. And the fact that they have to be in the spaza, it's a mokum to line the pain. What a Musa Haskell, Rabbi say, we're talking about the God of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's rechad, the Torah rechad with the cover of the God of Rabbi say. But in a regular person, regular mensch, Rabbi say, a person's covered, how much of the Torah is reference with that. The Torah in Parshas teaches lo sirtzach, a person is not allowed to kill. And we know that in our standards, if going to Chaim Rishon included in that, is not the mavaza a person. Because by us, the shame of a person, the bizui hakavod of an adam, the kavod habriyas, the bizui of the kavod habriyas, is tantamount to the killing of us. So it's not just a person. If a person had bizur of Boisai, if you're taking away his kavod of Boisai, you took away the mensch. There was a certain taking away the mensch of Boisai, and the Torah was makbi gomur, loy sirtzach, abisrayad ritzicha. Says Tiferes, says Mishoynes, abisrayad ritzicha. You embarrass someone, you shame somebody, you cause somebody some embarrassment of Boisai. You shame him. It's sharp for the tzifra of Boisai. Once the covet a person is the mensch. At the end of Parshas Yisro, we have the same Yisroel of Boisai. Pasuk says, "Leisale am b'mayos al mizbechi asher loisigol le'avos cha'olov." Sh'idei ha'maylos at hatzor l'harvziyot. The Torah says that we're walking up. That when you're going to the Mizbeach, you shouldn't have steps. It has to be a ramp. He has pants, but the harchav you'd have to stretch his feet to go up by steps. There's a stretching of the feet. There'll be a shtickle bizoyin to the steps. You marchiv your raglayim. Dvorim kal v'choim misakrashi. Avonim halolu. She'ein bohen das. There's no das. Lahakmer al bizyoina. Omre Torah v'hol v'yesh ban soyrech. Since there's a need, we need it for something. We need the steps to go up to the Mizbeach. It's just still. Therefore, lo'tinek b'hem minag bizoyin. Don't be no b'nim bizoyin. They have it soyrech. Someone that has it soyrech is not mevazah. Chavercho shu b'dmus yoitzrech. Umakmid al bizyoinoi al askam the kama. The person has to be careful of this. How much the Torah is makbid on the bizoyin, Rabbi said. The Torah is it compares it. Chavecha shedmus yoitzrech. There's a dmus yoitzrech. You have to have an extra sensitivity to his bizoyin, Rabbi said. That's pshat, Rabbi said, the God of also. Shebetmus yoitzrech. Avada, the physical, is a ganef. But there's a neshama. There's a dmus yoitzrech. And avada, there's a bizoyin going on, Rabbi said, and that bizoyin takes away. And here also, shebetmus yoitzrech, Rabbi said, makbid al bizoyinoi. The svei din, Rabbi said. Even if he's not makbid al bizoyin, there's a din of dmus yoitzrech, the svei din. There's a avada of his makbid. There's vaket. There's a be'etzem, you go over on a sakpada. But the person has to understand what it means to shame somebody, Rabbi said. How much the Torah, and I think the Vort, the Rabbi said, what do we have to learn it out from over here, Rabbi said, because the Pshat is, we're talking about Kodesh Kadosh, we're talking about Kodesh. We're talking about Mizbeach, Rabbi said. The Mokoim, where is the holy Kodesh? The Mizbeach is Kodesh. It's a Mokum Kodesh, Rabbi said. The Maloi, the Keves is going up to the Mizbeach, Rabbi said. The Torah is telling us that this thing is something that we're careful in the Beis HaMikdash, not to build, because we have to understand that that's maybe with Musyoitzver, that's, we're talking about holy Zachen over here, Rabbi Yisai. The shaming of a mensch is not just Stam, it's holy Shabbat it's most choshev of Zachen, Rabbi Yisai. The Liman wasn't Stam, a Liman in Parshas, who knows where. Parshas HaMizbeach, Rabbi Yisai. In Parshas HaMizbeach, we taught you the Yisoid that you have to be careful on Musyoitzver, on your friend's covenant, Rabbi Yisai. This is a tremendous limud, how much the Torah goes to a far extent, to be careful on the shame of a person, not to shame him, to be misyachas at that sensitivity to a person's bizoyer, that he shouldn't be misbazer. And this is something that today it's thrown to the side. Today it's something that a person faces very easily to bevaya somebody, to embarrass somebody, to say something that's shaming, to say something that's mamish, that could hurt a person deeply. We have to be so careful about this. The Torah is so makbid on the ganif. You say, okay, he's not such a chashuv a person. He's not something special about him. So I could treat him with a certain bizoyin. But you have to understand how far it goes. A person has to understand that shaming somebody should be tantamount to killing him. And have to be so careful about it, so delicate that you shouldn't cause anybody harm and pain from shame for busha about it. Busha is the worst thing you cause a person. The Maisa, we find many stories we had. I just saw a tremendous zach by side. The etzem we find another Yisroel in Parshas Yisroel, which be'etzem we find the Ian, which is a tremendous lesson in itself. Mida keneged Mida, Rabbi said. Yisroel became to about Maimin Godel because of Mida keneged Mida. He saw not only the whole punishment and the Mitzrayim got what they were supposed to get, but he saw it in a different oifen. He saw it in the oifen of Midah Keneged Midah. That measure for measure, HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world, and there's a Shmuez in itself, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world pays back a person, Midah Keneged Midah. And that's to show a person very carefully that the Bein is in charge. Things are not hefker. And therefore a person has difficulties in a certain area, he has to start making a cheshbon. A person has to know that if he does something to somebody else, it's going to come back. It's going to boomerang back. He'll get it back in a different form. And a person has to understand that especially in the area of shaming someone, the person causing pain in that area, chutz from the fact that it's not parsha person. People get shamed sometimes. They don't realize there's the oifen of Midah Keneged Midah. The person has to. I just read a story in one of these books, an unbelievable Maisa with it was a Yid, Rabbi from Sharagod. He was a Yid that was supposed to be a giant Talmud Chacham, and he would learn Yom V'Layla, and he would learn even he would learn on Shabbos, mamish, they would get up early in the morning, mamish, like, wake up very, very early, and would learn mamish straight, until the Gabbai used to come and wake him up, and again come to Shachris. He used to knock on his door and wake him up, and he knocked on his door to come to Shachris. One week, the Gabbai was busy, there was a big chassan in town, and there was a big chashav, one of the chashav Balabat was making a big chassan, and he was very tired. We got to wake up the Rav, or not to get the Rav to come. So he ran to his house quickly, there was already holy command near Baruch or whatever. So the Zimra, and he was late. The Rav always liked to come early and say, he said everything mamish the mila, and slowly, and like you're supposed to say it. The kids, Rabbi Lipa hears a knock. This guy was afraid to say anything that he's so late, and he comes out and he comes to the base medrash, and he sees them. As he enters, they say Baruch Hu. The kids he's very upset. The Rav, he shouts on the Gabbai. His mom was very fuming. He went over. All of a sudden, he saw the Gabbai. He went over to him and gave him a smack on his face, big smack, in front of everybody. He did the wrong thing. The Gabbai took it. He was right. He was negligent. The Rav came late. He wasn't at the same suit as him. Maybe Chil. Then I saw the Rav come late, and everybody thought it was the Rav's fault. He took it and he moved on. By Shlishi, they gave the Rav the Aliyah. It happened to be parsha Shmuez, and it said in parsha Shmuez in Shlishi, Rosh So he took it as a sign that he did the taka was the wrong thing, to avayah him, was busha. So he went over to the Gabbai and he asked mechila. He went over to the Gabbai, he asked mechila, and the Gabbai didn't want to. The Gabbai said, "No, Rav, it's okay." The kids said, we spoke about it 2 days ago in the Mr. Bush here, that you have to hear that he's moichel. He never said the word moichel. No, he kept saying it. He realized the Simon of Shamayim that he needs another tshuva. So he decided he's going into Golis, this Rav, until there's a simon Mishamayim, that there's a kapara for the Aveira. He went into Golis, and he became mamish like a vagabond, traveling from shul to shul, his hair growing wild, eating like a ani, going to places, eating like an ani. Until 4 years later, he still had no simon. He came back to Sharagod, to the city, and the Maisa, he went to no one recognizes him. Mamish, he was mamish looked like who knows what. And he came to the back of the shul like an ani, and he was waiting to be invited out for Shabbos. So the Gabbai came over and says, "You need a place." He set him up by Advia's house. In the middle of the night, he gets up to learn. Advia sees he's there safe, he knows, but no one was there with the record. He was so his whole face changed from the Golos. Later on that night, in the middle, they got up to learn, and they thought he was a chashav yid, so he's going to get up to learn. So he knew safe to get up to learn. The next day, in the middle of the night, later on the night, they wake up, and one of the people in the house, one of the daughters, was missing her jewelry. They didn't know where it was. They feared this guy might have become a faker. They thought he was real. He went and stole the jewelry of the daughter. The kids they're in the house discussing. The Gabbai comes to the house to call this guy. They saw they weren't coming to the thing. They thought they wanted to call the police. What's going on? Okay, it was Shabbos, but the kids, the Gabbai comes to the house. He sees this ani and he says, "What's going on?" He said, and the Rabbi says, "What's going on? You bring this ani to my house. He's a faker. He makes me look like he's good." The Ma'aseh Servishal Dover. So the Gabbai goes over to him and says, "What are you doing?" I give to you, and he gives him a big slap in the face. And he realized now he got his kapara, the midah connected midah. So he said he was about to slap him again. He says, "Gabbai, just one slap. I got my slap, and I got my kapara." And from that, Lamaisa, he went on, and because they recognized him, he went back to be the Rav of the Shtat. But Lamaisa, the Rekut is a place that we shame people all the time. We cause pain to people all the time. The shaming, you have to realize how delicate it is. People think at other times they have bushes and things like that. Or place that immediately connected media, how much we have to be didactic and we have to consider the person. That's the Yisroel person. If you look at the person as a normal human being, so okay, he makes his mistakes, he does things, so we can make a comment on him, we can embarrass him. But if you look at the Mus Yoitzrich, you look at him as somebody mamish. This is Musa Elokot. When we used to say, we said over from Moshe Shiskal, used to walk and used to pick up the Bowery bombs in the east side, and people used to ask, "What do you do?" He says, "For every everybody's telling on the kid. You have to be careful. We once said over the famous, unbelievable mice that happened. You have some English boys here. A tremendous mice that happened once in Gates at Yeshiva. That there was a few boys that were learning in the Oitzer and Gates. And the mice, they were learning the end of Oitzer, and it was late at night. Like both would do it late at night. They go into the Oitzer. They were talking learning, but they locked the Oitzer. They didn't want people to come and disturb. They were learning. The kids. All of a sudden, there's a knock on the Oitzer door. Who is it? So it was Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Gerwitz. Rav Gerwitz. He was knocking on the door, and he needed to get a safe from the Oitzer. He gets it from his house. I guess he needed a certain safe. They was paying the sugya, and he wanted to get into the Oitzer. So he knocks on the door, and they say, "Who is it?" He said, "Rav Gerwitz." They said, "You're joking around." They thought it was some bocha trying to make a prank. They didn't think the Yeshiva never, man, once in a blue, he never comes to Oitzer. Like, he's in his house. He said, the joke, it's not a Ram Gerwitz. He says, no, he said, please open up. He said, we're not opening up. Go back to sleep. The kids, after a while, they realized that it was the Rosh Yeshiva, and he wanted to get in. So the kids, they had to open the door. They didn't want, Chas v'sholom, the respect they had for the Rosh Yeshiva, they opened the door. They opened the door, the next thing they saw, the front of their face is unbelievable. They saw the Rosh Yeshiva walked in like this, with his hand over his face. That he shouldn't for shame who these guys were mamish treating. We have Meiser in the Yeshiva in Torah, or a famous Meiser with Rav Chaim once, that they also, you knocked on the door to wake up some guys to get up for Shachris, and the door was locked, and the guy from the other side, they also didn't think it was Rosh Yeshiva, and his mouth went a little wild, and he wasn't saying the most proper things. He was using, his mouth could have been mistaken for some Puerto Rican. And the Maisa, finally he realized that, so he was about to open the door after saying that. All of a sudden another Bach at the end who told the story, he said he saw Rav Shlomo Mom was charging down the hall with all his sitzes, that the guys shouldn't see that was the Yeshiva that knocked at the thing, and they shouldn't have the embarrassment, and the Yeshiva shouldn't see who it is when he opened the door. He was charging down the hall, Mom was like a sprint runner for the Olympics with his sitzes. They shouldn't embarrass Rabbi say, who is this guy? He's a bacha. But the Mush Yoitzrach Rabbi said, this is going to be Busha. This Busha, he brought the Busha on him. He locked the Yoitzah. He mamish said profanities came out of his mouth. So he was going to, but thought there's going to be Busha. The Ghana's going to have Busha, has Busha, Rabbi say, covered ha'odem, Rabbi say. How much we have to medactek, Rabbi say. And as we end, Rabbi say, always end with the Shalom Bayis, Rabbi say. Before it comes down to this very much a person thinks because he's a married guy and he's the king of the castle. So the Ma'aseh at the end of the day, the shame, Rabbi say, sometimes it's not about, sometimes also the shame, people think the shame, it's from the Dafka, in front of Asara, which is all, that's a Ma'am B'nei Chaver B'Ram, is a different Ein Lo Chelek Lo Ma'bo, it's a different deal. But even the shame in front of the husband, Rabbi say, the way a person speaks to a wife, Rabbi say, when he speaks to somebody else in a relationship, he can speak in a demeaning way, speaking putting somebody down, Rabbi say. Chutz from the fact that it's hurting, Rabbi say, but it's also shameful. It causes a lot of pain. But pain, not pain stam, pain from shame. Busha. A person can come home and he can see something that he doesn't like and he can express it in a way that causes pain and shame, Rabbi say. We're not talking about, okay, you have to know how to work things out, but shame and pain, Rabbi say, is a different world. The Mus Yoitzrich, you have to understand that when you're dealing, Rabbi say, in Bein L'chaver, especially, the Gemara says the oil person should be careful with his wife's tears. She has tears. A woman is very close to tears. But chutz from that, the etzem busha, Rabbi say, that she can have, a person has to be so careful not to cause busha to somebody else. We're not talking about other things. The busha, the embarrassment. A woman can have it, in fact, and the husband is, I've seen someone berating her and talking down to her. The pain and the shame, Rabbi say, is terrible, Rabbi say, and it's something that's chas v'sholom, tantamount to Ritzicha. So even he didn't do B'Rabim, but there was Ritzicha B'Yachid. There's no heta for it, there's no heta. A person has to be so careful when he talks with somebody else, but especially his wife, Rabbi say, who has a responsibility to build her up, to put her down, Rabbi say, is mamish a very good dialogue, Rabbi say. And we'll end, Rabbi say, with the famous what we just say over, but that Rashi brings in the Chalel, that the person has to be careful not to build a mizbeach with a knife, with an instrument of metal. So Rashi says, Kal v'choyma, Uma mizbeach that was made to lengthen the day, the mizbeach, well, I can't do it because the mizbeach is made to lengthen days, and a knife is made to shorten days. So Rashi says, Kal v'choyma, so Rashi, Chal leholamashi minafto le'ar bazach chilal tzemizbeach never niver laharach yomov. והבאזל לקצב יום שלום, אין זה בדין שינו ומקצב רב. ואוי שמזבח מטל שלום בישראל אבינו שבשמיים. לפיך לא יובל of curse ומחaba. A curse ומחaba can't come on the mizbech because it's made to be meirich. It's made to bring shalom. וידורם קל וחום, מעוונים שאינם רויס, ולא שוימש ולא מטברס. עד שמטילה שלום ארמתור לא יתונב לבאזל, Hamat Shalom be'ish le'ishto b'mishpoch le'mishpoch be'n'ol mechaveiroi. Person goes out and makes shalom between two people. As kam v'kam shal tovol piraniyos. A person zercha no piraniyos. A person looking for schools all the time. The Mosai, stay away from the shame game. Be careful in degrading anybody, especially his wife, especially a friend. And the Be'ez Hashem through that, Rabbi says the person zercha to the school of Arichas Yomim, if you make shalom, berish leishto, if you make shalom, but it doesn't have to be a person who thinks he has to be the major marriage guy. No, he makes shalom in his own house, he makes shalom in his own room, between his friends, Rabbi said. He's careful to mechabit them, Rabbi said. That's matel shalom, berish leishto, berish be'on mechaveiroi. It's a skula, it's a murdik skula to protect from all damages and all piranhas from Zeicha. To mechabit our friends, to understand what covet means, and not put them down, be zeicha to all the brachas of the schoolers of protection for the Bein of all.